There is a moment in scripture so intense, so sacred, that God himself stepped into a river of blood to prove his promise cannot fail. Genesis 15 records it. A covenant sealed, not sealed with ink, but with life. See, Abraham stands beneath a sky God himself created. He's old, his wife is barren, and the promise of a son feels impossible. God tells him, "Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield." But Abraham asks the question that haunts every human heart. He says, "Lord, how can I know?" See, instead of God rebuking him, God invited him instead to a covenant. God instructed Abraham to bring a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a pigeon. Abraham knows exactly what this means. He knows what this means because this is a covenant language. It is ancient, it is binding, and it is irreversible. He instructed Abraham to cut the animals in halves, lay the pieces opposite each other, blood pooled in the depths, a crescent path formed between the carcasses, and this is the blood walk. Two parties walk through the pieces together, declaring that if either breaks the covenant, their fate should be like the animals. This is the most serious oath known to man. But then something supernatural happens. As Abraham waits for God to appear, vultures descended on the sacrifice. Abraham then drive them away, which is indicative of the fact of how the enemy will always try to interfere with your covenant. Then suddenly a deep sleep fell on Abraham. A thick and a dreadful darkness surrounded him, so described the Bible. Abraham could not move, he could not work, and he could not participate in the ritual because this covenant is not going to depend on him ultimately. Then this happened. A smoking furnace appears, a symbol of God's presence, as depicted in Exodus 19:18. You see, and beside it a blazing torch, which is the fire of God, and that's depicted in Hebrews 12:29. These two divine symbols move between the pieces. God walked through the blood path alone. Abraham did not walk with him. Abraham does not swear an oath. Abraham does not promise anything absolutely. You see, God is declaring that if the covenant fails, the consequences falls on him and him alone. This is not a partnership between God and Abraham. This is a rescue. Centuries later, on a hill called Calvary, God kept the oath he sworn in blood. The furnace and the flame became flesh. Jesus, God in human form, walked the path Abraham could not walk. The covenant Abraham could not keep, Israel could not keep, humanity could not keep, God himself fulfilled that promise. The blood between the animals was pointing to the blood that will flow from the Lamb. John chapter 1 verse 29. See, the walk of blood tells you this. God's promises do not rest on your strength. They rest on his strength. He doesn't make the covenant for Abraham. He made the covenant for Abraham. And he didn't save you because you walked perfectly. He saved you because he walked the path alone. So when doubts and fear arises in your heart, when you wonder if God will ever keep his word, remember the blood work. Remember this covenant. Remember that God, who said he will rather die than break his promises to you, remember that he still remains faithful. And he proved it with the cross.